Hey guys, what's up? This is Christian here, and this is a brand new Eonic Enlightenment. Yay! And today's Enlightenment is actually going to be a really fun one. If you saw from the title, which starter is the best? I have to blame SK for this one because wow, I hate him. So we were out and we were just hanging out, and we were talking about Pokemon, and he asked me the question, which starter is the best? And it really got me thinking, like so much that it got bad. So I really came to the conclusion. I was like, who is the best starter? So I started to like look into it, and I realized some stuff. But let me first go into detail why I'm doing this. As we all know, Pokemon is going to be celebrating its 28-year anniversary, and I'm happy. I've been a fan since the original cartridges. So, well, not red and green, from Japan, but I was a fan since the originals. So to see that grown up to 20 years is awesome. And I think I heard about the leaks about Pokemon Sun and Moon maybe being the next titles. Cool. That's awesome. I'm scared because what is Sun and I don't know what the hell the Sun and Moon could be, but who knows. But this brings up the question of always like people ask, which is the best starter? Well, today I think I figured out the answer. But the answer may not be so nice. So before we go on, I'm making sure this is not a theory video. This is actually me giving what I really think is the real answer. So if you want to know what the answer is, there is no good starter. Oh, yes, I know. It sounds like a cop-out. It sounds like I'm just, not explaining it. But let me work with you on this. So, if you don't know where the formula of Pokemon came from with the starters, they were made to be rock, paper, scissors, mirror them to where one counters one and the other counters this, rock, paper, scissors. But most people don't know where that actual RPG formula came from. So I thought I'd kind of like re-educate those who don't know this. The reason that Pokemon does the rock, paper, scissors formula is that RPGs before it did do the rock, paper, scissors formula with the warrior, the rogue, and the mage. And no generation shows this the best than Generation 6. The generation that pays homage to this formula. As we all know, in Generation 6, the Pokemon that are chosen are Chespin, Fennekin, and Froakie, who later evolve into Chestnut, Greninja, and... Wow, I forgot the Fox's evolution. Well, I feel stupid. Oh well. But, okay, so each one's final evolution, is pretty good. And they're balanced because what they did was they didn't make one stronger than the other, honestly. And it was for once, oh my god, Pokemon is learning. Now, what do I mean by that? Like, can you really judge that out of those three starters, Pokemon has continued this formula? Well, let's first, before we move on to the others, let's point out exactly what makes what their type. Fennekin, in its final form, which I think it's Delphox. Wow, I just realized the name. Thank you. Delphox. Delphox's final evolution, or Fennekin's final evolution, is Delphox. It's a symbolization of the mage. What the mage is representing, the mage is the one who has the power in special attack. They are the cannons. They are the ones who aim up their wand and shoot massive special attack damage at a person. So, in a lot of the games, the mage is easy to pick out because if their special attack stat is their main stat, that's who you're looking for. The next one has to be the Chestnut. His thing is Knight. Knights are very picky with what they represent. They more represent defense than they do damage, but the Knight is usually more represented by the fact that he is a attack or a tank. In this case, Chestnut is a tank. So this is why he works as the Knight. So that leaves Greninja. Now, before you jump in to say that Greninja is not a rogue, remember that the Ninja class is considered a rogue class. So You can't throw out the fact that the ninja class is not rogue when the fact that the ninja class has always been considered rogue. So, Greninja does fall into the category of rogue. Now, what categorizes that as a rogue? The rogue is fast. So, how does this work in the formula of the rogue versus the mage versus the warrior? So, the reason that the mage always beats the warrior is the warrior may be tanky, or the warrior or knight may be tanky, but the mage's special attack pierces his tank. With the knight, though, why the knight beats the rogue, the knight is too tanky for a target who's just too fast. He can run around the target all he wants, but he'll do no damage because all his attacks are physical. Then comes the rogue versus the mage. The rogue is so fast that the mage cannot beat him. So now let's look at the other generations and see if they followed this formula very well. Starting with the first generation, we're going to start with Venusaur, Charizard, and Squirtle. Whoops, I meant Blastoise. I'm sorry. No, I'm joking. I'm going to have a lot of scripts like that just because I want to categorize by the pre-evolution, but when they get to the main evolution is where a lot of the problems or starter choices really come in. So like with this one, it was harder to judge who the mage was because the special attacker was and wasn't Charizard. Because in X and Y, they finally gave Charizard the ability to be aggressive in his damage in physical or be aggressive in his special attack. I don't know which one was better because I didn't get to play the X version. But if I had to say where they're categorized, you'd think Blastoise was considered the tank. He's close to the knight. I'll give him that. He is close to the knight. But due to the Mega Evolution, I more think now Blastoise was pushed towards the mage. But I'm going to categorize them how they used to be. So I think it's Venusaur was the mage, Blastoise was the tank, and Charizard was the rogue. The reason why, Charizard I believe was the fastest out of the three of them, so he had more chances of getting in more attacks and more damage. Venusaur was very powerful with his Solar Beam and all of his grass attacks that were special, and Blastoise was tanky, making him the knight, because the knight, as I said, could be tanky or aggro. It really depends on what the stat is. So, like I said, with the Megas, though, the Megas kind of reverse this slightly. Where I think the only one that I think changed really was the Mage, I think, became Blastoise. And then Blastoise then Venusaur became the Knight. But in the same case, nobody picks Venusaur, so it didn't really matter. And that's kind of the sad truth. Just saying. So, but the thing is, I just pointed out, I said that the mage, like I said, if that was the case, then the fire type would be able to beat the water type, which we know technically can. So, then we get to the second generation, same shit. Meganium, very tanky, but the very aggressive special attacker. Typhlosion, very, very mean, but it's very fast. Typhlosion, I think, was the fastest out of the three. For Alligator, he was not a tank. He was a hard hitter. So there you go. Meganium was the mage. For Alligator was the tank, the warrior. And Typhlosion was the rogue again. As I said, the cycle works just like how they did this. It wasn't until the third generation where I think they actually tried to change things up and add a new spin on how it worked. And that comes in the numbers of Generation 3. My actual favorite generation. Because also one of my favorite Pokemon's in there. In this generation, they introduced Sceptile, Blaziken, and Mudkip. Or, my god, wow, I keep doing it with the water types. It's probably just because I hate most of them. But, Swampert. So, if you can probably already guess, Sceptile is the rogue in this case. And the reason he's the rogue now is because he is the fastest of the three. So, for once, the grass type is now fast. So, if the grass type went fast, who now is the new mage? Swampert. Swampert has such aggressive special attack that makes it more of a threat to the warrior, Blaziken, because Blaziken now has to protect itself from a surf, from muddy water, from ice beam. Just any move that was special attack, it hurts it a lot. Blaziken was the warrior because of how powerful he is, plus he had the fighting type attached to him. This was also the first in case when the three were very good, but sadly, one was better than the others. Why? Because of how they did it. My favorite Pokemon is Sceptile, or Trico in this case, because I actually like what Trico looks like, but I have to go with Sceptile for the final evolution. Trico, or Sceptile, was the weakest of the three due to the fact that he was not a dual type, and due to the fact that his move pool was shit. So for him to have great special attack was nice, but his real thing was speed. So he had nothing backing him up, making him a threat towards the other two. And I'm also excluding the ideas of TMs and all that because I'm judging the Pokemon based on their actual limits. This is also why I throw out the where people bring up the stories that Swampert can beat Sceptile because of Ice Beam. Yes, it can with Ice Beam as a TM, you teach it. Problem is, Sceptile is faster than you, you fucker. It does not matter. Until you're slower, he's slower, you ain't gonna hit him. Now, the reason I bring this up is because in the third generation, or my bad, the 6th generation third reboot, we finally got a Mega Evolution for these three types. And these three Megas changed the game entirely for these three. And funny enough, I think personally my favorite got stronger and became the strongest. But it's because it did something that I think really broke the starters, which is why now I've seen why they never do this. Sceptile in his Mega Evolution had gained a Dragon type starter, meaning that he was a fire or he was a grass dragon. Now, if many people don't know how the chart works, Dragon is resistant or has resistance to water and fire. This took away Blaziken's super effective on Sceptile and made Swampert barely deal damage. But as we remembered, we said, oh, Swampert can still learn Ice Beam. Perfect, that's fine. Sceptile became so fast and so strong that even a Swampert in its Mega probably wouldn't survive an attack from him. That is how powerful I think they've made these two Pokemon. Made him. But I can't just say he's the strongest. I think they improved him. And it's because, like I said, he was the only single type of that generation. Gaining a dual type did make him stronger, and I think the automatic strongest. And this is the part that makes me wonder what was Pokemon thinking during this. But then maybe they were just trying to give back to the Pokemon that got the worst of the stick. I don't know. Now, the reason I've avoided this one is because this is the generation where Pokemon knew they fucked up and then tried to fix it in the generation afterwards and fucked up again. Generation 4 is the generation where everything got screwed up with this formula. If you don't know what I'm talking about Infernape, Torterra, and Empoleon. Pokemon had made Empoleon the worst water-type starter in the game. And I can't take that one back. Empoleon became one of the worst water-type starters because of its typing. They made it a water steel. Now, you'd think this would be okay, except two problems. Fire now deals normal damage to it. 3 of the fire types are fighting types. Chestnut is a fighting type. Torterra is a ground type. Do I need to go on? It is weak to so many of these starters that there is nothing you can do to bring this Pokemon back. You can train it in defense. You can train it in special attack. You can even try training it in speed. I will always beat your Empoleon with the bullshit Pokemon from this generation, Infernape. But let's talk about Torterra before we jump into Infernape, which is where problems came up. Torterra was the biggest excuse for a joke. Torterra came in as a grass ground, and you'd think this would be beneficial because, the fire type can't knock it out really anymore. Nope. Grass ground is by far one of the worst combinations I think they did because of the fact that the fire type is a fighting type. You might say, well, wait, fighting is not super effective. Yes. But now here's the problem. Why would I use a fire move when my fighting moves are stronger? By the way, Torterra sucks at defense. Just saying. Just saying. But if you want the best example of what I'm talking about, let's actually look back at the chart again. So, if we're looking at the Rogue, Mage, and the Warriors chart, who's the Warrior before we jump into Infernape? Yes, Infernape. Why? He's the heavy hitter of this entire thing. He may be fast, but he was the heavy hitter. I could also say he was the Rogue, but I more look at him as the heavy hitter. But I'll say he's the Rogue for this case, just to make things easier, so you can see where they were going. So then if he's the Rogue, then he beats the Mage, who would be Torterra, correct? Yes. But Torterra can also be the Warrior because of how tanky it is, and I can make Empoleon the Mage. But wait, doesn't this mean that Chimchar or Infernape should lose? Yes, but it doesn't. Because they made it too goddamn strong. Its attack and its special attack were two of its most powerful stats, and this thing could one-shot any starter you picked. This was why I hated that game much, but I loved it, because I only had to catch 6 Pokemon for that game, and I now made it a theme for me when I play Pokemon, to catch 6 and I'm done. Because when you beat the entire Elite Four, the entire gyms, your rival, who picks the fucking Empoleon because you pick Infernape, you just have no justification. You immediately just win. It's bullshit. It's so upsetting. Now, Infernape, the why it's bad is just its typing was terrible. A firefighting type repeated from Blaziken was not needed. We did not need another firefighting. I got annoyed, but I tried to shrug this one off because of the fact that I was like, okay, maybe Pokemon's not going to do this again. Then with the problem with Firefight with it is its typing choices make it finally beat both starters. This is the only generation where Infernape beats both starters. Now here's the thing. If I had to pick Infernape as the best, he would be. But the worst part about now, he can't be. Infernape has been overpowered by my Pokemon Sceptile. Infernape has also been overpowered by Charizard. Infernape has also been overpowered by Feraligatr. Infernape is overpowered by many Pokemon. The reason it is it has no defense. So if a fast Pokemon fights it, it loses. What is Sceptile? A fast Pokemon. What is Charizard? A fast Pokemon. Feraligatr, it may not be tanky, but that thing can throw a punch. And as I said, Warriors, they beat Rogues, no problem. So, Infernape definitely would originally be up there, but because of its own stats, it throws it back down into you're one of the worst starters as well, but not the bad. Like I said, Empoleon earns that slot. So then, why did I almost not want to give off my shoulder for Infernape? Because the 5th generation, which is the generation known as the generation we're out of ideas, we need something, thought it would be a great idea to introduce Snivy or Superior, Tepig, which then turns into Emboar, and Oshawott, who turns into Samurott. This is the most shameful generation ever, but this is also a generation that I think deserved a lot of love. It was really well done and crafted. Its starters, though... So, Let's just get the cat out of the bag. Embor, you're firefighting. Seriously? Okay. Even Blaziken was mad that he was a firefighting. Because Blaziken accepted Infernape. He was not going to take Tepig. He was not going to take Embor at all. This one is the generation where I think Pokemon, I really think intentionally screwed up. Because they only made one dual type. And I kept looking at the starters like, what the hell? You could do a ton of dual types. Why don't you do them? I think they were too afraid. They were too afraid of what could happen if they made these dual type due to the fact of what happened in the fourth generation with all of them being a dual type and being weak to the fire type or one type in general. Originally, me and my friends had thoughts that the dual typing for these was going to be a grass dragon, a water ice, and a fire ground. Now, intentionally, the fire type loses a lot because of it being a ground type. Yes, it sucks. I will admit. But the reason why is because the fire type got too much love in the fourth generation, so it kind of needed to get beat up in that generation. Besides, no one was going to pick it anyways. But for it to be a firefighting, no, that doesn't slide. That doesn't win you any points. That just makes you more bullshit. Especially since that one is the fighting or the warrior in this case. So here's the also thing. Superior is the mage, Samurott, the rogue. Do you know who I always pick? I've always picked Superior. I'm giving Samurott a try in this run that I'm doing for fun, but Samurott I don't like the way they designed it. I thought it was stupid. But these three, by far, were three of the worst choices Pokemon ever made for starters. And looking at it, the sixth generation is where everything went back to normal, where everything was back to the way it should be. And now, hearing that Pokemon Sun and Moon are going to come out, maybe, or if they're not actually real games, they just trademarked those to protect them. I want to see if they're going to make the starters again the way they should be, where every starter should be balanced. Now, intentionally, what makes a starter better than all the others, though? It's the player. As many people do know, when you play tournament games or when you play games with people always test your Pokemon by its special skills, its moves, its items, its whatever. The thing is, I don't like the competitive scene, and I find that being competitive is a stupid idea in Pokemon because it ruins the fun of the game. I don't raise my Trico to Sceptile just so I can compete with others. I raise it because I want to be strong enough to fight anybody. Same goes for all the other Pokemon that I've ever raised in my entire years. That's why I got laughed at when I did my 6th generation and I was like raising a Chespin and stuff. People laughed at what I raised, but I made some strong Pokemon. So I don't get where you can make fun of a starter because it's bad. I mean, I even give Empoleon a lot of shit, but I bet you if I would have tried it out, I could have found a way to cover its weaknesses. It would have been the hardest thing in the world, but that would have been the greatest thing. This is what I'm talking about when the trainer is what makes the starter better. But really think about this the next time you play Pokemon or you open up a Pokemon game. What Pokemon do you think's the strongest? Because if that is the strongest one, is it? Or are you going to make it the strongest Pokemon or strongest starter? So this, like I said, this was a video just to talk about like what I think the starter Pokemon should be or like which one's the strongest. And like I said, there is not really one. It's based on the trainer. And you can, like I said, you can throw stats, you can throw skills, you can throw moves, you can throw abilities, throw Mega Evolutions. I don't care. Because in the end, it's still going to be up to the trainer and the Pokemon. So if you guys like what you saw, like, comment, subscribe. If you guys want to keep hearing more, just, comments below. Have fun, talk. I want to hear what you guys want to say about this. And if you enjoyed the fact that maybe it was a clickbait or anything, Tell me you actually, liked what I said, or if you hated what I said. I don't care anymore. I want to hear what people say just because you never know. Someone might agree with you. But hey, this is Christian signing out. We can always remember, continue being an Eon Star, because we never stop going.